Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Here. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Here.
Councilman Dooley?
Here.
Councilman Marcochia?
Here.
Supervisor Calavita?
Here. Okay, we have our opportunity to address the board on a specific agenda item. Specific agenda item? Come on up. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. It's glad to be back, even if it's just for this one time. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Glad to see everybody's well. I hope
you're
you
well,
all
too.
look well. Okay, I guess we'll start with number 4. Resolution authorizes the superintendent executive to deliver amended it's about putting another officer in the school.
Right, another student resource officer, SRO, that would be floating between Waverly, Greenvale, and Hutchinson.
Is that going to be a man that's on the force now or somebody that's retired?
No, it's a person on the force now. We have, presently, we have an officer at the Tuckahoe campus, and we have one at the high school campus, high school, middle school campus. So a lot of the parents liked the fact that we had done that. The officers are working out well with all the kids there. It's all been a positive response for everything. And the school district said, listen, what about our grammar schools? Because presently, the officer can be deployed to different locations, but they want to have the primary presence in the high school, middle school area. So the additional officer will be floating between the three grammar schools.
Elementary schools, all right.
And also, we are prorating the time. So the school district basically will pay the officer's salary for the time and benefits for the time he's in the school district, doing school functions, and then we pay for the difference.
All right, so it would possibly be a man who was not on the roll for that particular day. It would be somebody who could pick up a little bit of overtime.
No,
So-
not really. See, you need to be trained to be an
No,
SRO.
no. I understand that, but it would not be an officer that was on the roll for that particular day. It would be maybe, well, this is my thought and my suggestion. Maybe it would be somebody that was off of the tour, could pick up a couple of hours, being the school was paying for it, and their benefits, just like with the guy that's off the tour, goes to the construction sites.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a suggestion.
But with this particular case, though, it's like, for example, the superintendent of Tuckahoe Schools called and said that we were, she heard that we were training someone, a police officer, in addition to Officer Minio, who is the
Right.
SRO there. She said, please don't take Charles away.
Oh,
We
no, no.
love Charles, but the point was, I said, no, we have to keep these guys trained, guys and gals. We have female SROs also, so that when they go on vacation, or God forbid somebody gets hurt, we can, move them around and have sufficiently trained people to be wherever they have to be.
No, I understand that, but my suggestion is, if we were to take somebody who was not on the tour for that day.
Right.
And he could come in and fill in, make a little bit of time, because I know when they're watching the construction, they're getting time to their pension, they're getting paid on the side. This way, we still have a full, 12
Right.
guys.
Our staff is still, all the
Right.
posts are manned, yes.
Right, we don't
Yeah.
lose a man
Right, that's
on
correct.
the tour.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Right, that was my suggestion. When I went to this school here in the 70s, I guess we didn't need that. We had teachers who had been in the Second World War, teachers who had been in the Korean War. In addition to their bottle of whiskey in the desk drawer, they had 45 caliber pistols in their classroom when we went to school. We never had a problem. And I would say everybody knew, or most of us knew, that certain teachers had a gun in their drawer, and it just kept us a little bit well-behaved in those classes.
Guns generally do that, yes.
All right, and then, number 6. So this is basically to put some time and effort back down to the corner there, where all those tennis courts used to be.
Oh, yeah, the sport time thing, yeah. We basically did an amendment to the sport time agreement that changed some of the components of the agreement. The bulk of the agreement's the same. But what we're doing is, we're giving them an additional term, okay? An additional 20-year term, and also we have increased, significantly increased, the annual base minimum payment to the town. And we kept in the 12% of the gross, whichever is higher, okay? Also, we have, there's a lot of things. They're going to redo the courts within the next 10 years, redo the lights within the next 10 years. We also have, we're freezing the rates for the long-term tennis players, and they've agreed to contribute $1 million to the Leewood Park renovation project. And what we're doing in Leewood Park basically is that there are courts that are presently in bad shape. So those courts are coming out. We're putting in brand-new courts, brand-new fencing, brand-new sidewalks, brand-new curbs, brand-new lighting, handrails, everything. And we're also adding in pickleball courts. So part of their $1 million is going to go toward the installation of some of these pickleball courts. We're going to try and get in, if we can, 6, but more guaranteed 4. And then we're going to change the basketball court around, the playground, the ball field, change the whole project.
Are we going to put the pickleball courts back where the paddle tennis courts used to
Yes,
be? Because there's
exactly.
nothing there.
There's nothing there, yeah.
I remember when we moved up here, there were those 6 courts in the front, I think, and 6 courts in the back. They took out 2 courts or 3 courts to put the paddleball in.
That's correct.
And we still had the 2 courts or the 3 courts to the right where the basketball is now.
That's right.
But the basketball was in the front, right around that, right in that curve there, where there's still a space. The trees haven't filled it in. It's just grass now.
Well, hopefully, what we think about doing, if we can do it, is orient the basketball courts so that they're not parallel with Leewood, but perpendicular. We might be able to get 2 courts in. And then also put up like a wall for, lacrosse balls and tennis balls so kids can practice. But this project also involves relocating the playground more to where the backstop is on the field and increasing the size of the parking lot. And then putting the diamond back where the tennis courts are. So you'd be hitting toward the quarry, so to speak. But it would only be a little tight field. We're not putting in a regular baseball field,
Now-
just for little guys
What,
and gals.
you know, when you come down to Leewood there and you make the right-hand turn, along the golf course, all no parking, but everybody parks.
Yeah, until there's a T-ball game, then everybody parks.
Right, but even the basketball players park a little further up. I mean, is there a way to put parking there, to take that strip of grass and put parking there?
I think what we probably do would, let's get the parking established on the lot, and if we need more, then we could always contemplate doing something then. But if the way we're figuring, the playground that's presently there would be relocated to, another area of the park, like, down further, closer toward Cross Hill. So the parking lot is going to at least double.
Right.
So, there should be probably good 60 cars that would be
But-
able to fit there. That's a lot of cars.
Even if we were to take
50
that,
maybe.
if we would take that piece of grass along the golf course, put parking there, especially for the kids playing basketball, that way they wouldn't have to park where the parents are gonna park for the T-ball, where the tennis players are gonna park. This would give us another, I would say I've saw 25 to 30 cars one morning when I came around, parked from the right-hand turn on Leewood all the way down to the golf course.
Well, there are 2 other issues, too, they got to consider. First, if you park there and someone's teeing off on what used to be the 14th hole, and they hook one, you got to have a broken windshield. But aside from that, we never really had a path to get to the basketball courts or the pickleball courts.
Right.
No,
we did. We had
years ago, we
Well,
had
it was
this
paddleball,
lumpy
yeah.
blacktop. But we want to put a nice 6-foot poured concrete thing in, and we want to take like the lighting, for example, it's in the town center, and put that along the Cross Hill path. That goes Cross Hill to Leewood, and then line the rest of the pathway with those same fixtures, so it kind of pulls everything in together. It'll look fantastic.
All right.
But, look, it's if we have to, we could consider doing that.
Just a thought. Then, all right, number 7, introduction of local law providing amendment to local law 11, 1985, known as Law 1, 2018. That, I guess, was the extension, rewrite of the law from 11 from 1985.
Yeah, just so you know, the way this is worded, it's very awkward. It's the state's language where it talks about the exemption reduction, but it's not. We're actually increasing
right.
the exemption for veterans, and, you know, the scale has all been increased on all the categories. So, you know, there's a basic exemption, then there's an additional exemption if you've been in active combat, then there's additional exemptions for further service, lifetime service and all. So these different categories are all being increased so that their taxes will go lower. So
Well,
people realize that, because I read this, I said, geez, what is this reduction? Well, we're reducing
No,
it.
no, right, but that's what I figured when I saw, knowing what the law from 85 was.
Yep, yep.
All right, but does that also include disabled members? There was a higher rate for a disabled member.
Yes, it does.
All right, so I believe that was it on opportunities to address the board on agenda items.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving forward, we have the approval of the minutes from the August 16th Town Board meeting. Any modifications or amendments? Not there being none, someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcochia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is reports of departments, boards, and commissions. Law Department report, Mr. Rader.
Yes, good evening. First, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver a 911 emergency intermunicipal agreement between the town of Eastchester, the village of Bronxville, and the village of Tuckahoe pertaining to 911 emergency alerting management and contact, which will be provided for by Rave Wireless, Inc.
Yeah, just, we've been speaking of Swift Reach 911. Well, apparently they were acquired by, or the successor to them is this Rave Wireless. And what we're doing is we are working with the villages of Bronxville and Tuckahoe to pull together our contract so that we are sharing services. And by doing that, we reduce the annual fees for all three entities, the two villages and the town. So this is a good opportunity to do two things. One, to let everyone know that we are sharing services, and two, requesting everybody please sign up for alerts. Text messages, emails, phone calls, landline phone calls, you know, whatever you need, you can get. You can set up who you want to who you choose to be alerted, the method you choose, what subjects you choose to be alerted about. It's a great tool, and we urge everyone to you know, to sign up for that if you haven't already. Anyway, with that being said, I think Mr. Rader described it sufficiently. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcochia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver an agreement between the town of Eastchester and Rave Wireless, Inc., pertaining to Rave Wireless, Inc., providing the town of Eastchester and the villages of Tuckahoe and Bronxville with the 911 emergency alerting management and contact. And as you said, this is the actual contract between the parties that we'll be entering into with the new company.
Right, so moved.
Second?
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcochia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver an amendment to a lease agreement made between the town of Eastchester and the Eastchester Fire Department for the use of the Marble Schoolhouse from September 1st, 2022 to February 28th, 2023. Briefly, if the board remembers, about a year and a half ago, we entered into an agreement with the fire department to allow them to move their equipment and their fire trucks to the Marble Schoolhouse. The work, I spoke to Chief Tween about a week or two ago. They're almost done. They're into the last phase. They probably need about another 2 or 3 months. I extended a little bit further, but he said they should be done by hopefully November. They had received bids, and supposedly they're starting the work on the bathrooms, I believe. And basically, everything else stays the same, so just I extended the term a little bit more.
Okay, all right, I'll move this. Ask for a second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcochia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver an amendment to an intermunicipal agreement made between the town of Eastchester and the Eastchester Union Free School District, providing for an additional school resource officer for the physical security and safety at the Eastchester District Elementary Schools, and I believe the supervisor already touched upon pretty much all the basics in the agreement.
Yeah, the key is that it'll be a uniformed officer, and it's worked out very favorably for the two districts so far, and hopefully it continues to be successful. So I'll move this. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocchio?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Yeah, aye, but I just also want to mention one other thing, too. I want to thank Lieutenant Rosenberg and Chief Rodriguez, who work closely with the Board of Education members. We have, a great board that we're working cooperatively with on a lot of different projects, but this particularly was something that was important to the Board of Education trustees and also to the town board. And I think it's going to work out great for us. But I want to just recognize that they have been a big help, and they have driven this on their end as well. So with that being said, please continue.
Okay, next I have a resolution authorizing the settlement of a claim by Joe Steinman against the town of Eastchester in the amount of $921.80 for damages sustained to Mr. Steinman's vehicle on June 29th, 2022.
So moved.
Second, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley? Councilman Marcocchio?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver an amendment to the license agreement between the town of Eastchester and Island Tennis LP, which is doing business as Sports Time, which would allow Island Tennis Sport Time to use and operate the outdoor tennis and pickleball facilities at Leawood Park, and in return, Sport Time shall contribute $1 million towards the renovation and the reconstruction of these courts. I know the supervisor briefly and pretty much explained most of the stuff, but I just want to take a minute, if I can, Supervisor.
Sure, of course.
Just add a couple of things. One, I want to thank the board, and especially the supervisor, Councilman Marcocchio, Sally Viltiti, and also Ben Schlansky, who is the attorney for Sport Time, and the assistant to the program, Carlos Campos. We had gone a lot of back and forth, but the amendment we put together, I think, covers pretty much, and it's a very good and I think very substantial deal for the town. But Supervisor covered most stuff, but I just want to mention a couple other things. They're also going to manage and staff Leawood Park. They're going to have a person there full-time during the season. They're going to basically operate it. We'll have the input as to what goes on there. We've agreed to a certain amount of courts that are going to be used by them depending on the season, and Sally was pretty much on board with what we came up with. Basically, during the busy times, we're going to maintain the courts for our residents, and they're going to do lessons and stuff like that. They've also agreed, which is very important, every 5 years they're going to redo those courts down there, and also they're going to do the courts at Lake Isle. This year, I think actually they're going to resurface the courts there, and this year I believe they're also going to repair the outdoor structures, which was in the original agreement. They're going to do the lights over and also the structures. So that's what's going to happen at Lake Isle this year, to the present bubbles and stuff like that. The supervisor touched on most of the stuff, but I also wanted to mention that the outdoor court season at Lake Isle pretty much is going to stay the same. And if I could call on Councilman Marcocchio, because he pretty much was involved in the numbers of this, but we've got a pretty much substantial increase starting in year one, which is this present year going on. Do you want us to elaborate on the numbers?
Sure. So before I do that, though, I just want to highlight that we're in our 11th year with Sport Time. It's hard to believe. And in the first 10 years, we've collected $3.64 million, which is outstanding. When we first started talking about this, we said, in the contract, there would be a minimum payment of $3 million, even if they didn't get to their top-line numbers that they were expecting. And many people said, how are you going to do that? You're making $40,000, $50,000 a year now, currently at Lake Isle Tennis. How are you going to get to $3 million? And we exceeded that. We're at $3.64 million over the first 10 years. Going forward, and this year's number, this year alone is going to be $470,500 that they're going to be paying us. In the extension year, we go from $470,500 to $525,000, and it's 11.5% increase. And then it holds steady for 5 years, and then it increases to $556,500, which is a 6% increase. And then 5 years later, it goes to $610,000, which is a 9.6% increase. And then in the final 5 years, it goes up to $645,000 per year, which is a 5.74% increase. And we took a lot of factors into consideration, including inflation and all that. And it was a, you know, it was a tough negotiation, and I want to thank, you know, Sport Time, Ben Shalansky, and Carlos Campos, and also Sally for all the hard work, and particularly Sport Time for working with us. We've been going back and forth on this for quite a while. But during that extension period, we're going to collect $16,387,500, which is just a fantastic number. And that's the minimum annual license fee. If their gross happens to be in excess, if 12% of their gross exceeds that number, we're entitled to that additional amount. So this is a minimum that we'll collect, is what I'm trying to say. And like Lou and Tony mentioned, they are going to resurface at Leawood Park the tennis courts and the pickleball courts every 5 years. And that's in addition to contributing $1 million towards the reconstruction of those tennis courts. So overall, I think it's just a great deal. It's been a really, really good partnership with them. And I call it a partnership because we haven't, I got to tell you, the tennis community is just very, very happy. They're very happy, and we're doing, and the club's doing very well. So it's really a win-win all around, and this just is going to continue that success going forward. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, I want to mention two other things that are important. Just something that's very important to the tennis population is that Sport Time is not going to be using all the Leawood hours all the time every day. They have a very slight increment in the increase, or incremental increase, in the use of their time for those tennis courts, okay? So people are saying, oh, they're going to give $1 million, they're going to take over the courts, no one complain. That's not the case at all, okay? Their goal was to keep a good thing going, as was ours, by grabbing an extension of time. And we were delighted to give them an extension because, as Mr. Marcocha had said, you know, we were netting maybe $50,000 a year from tennis, and now, you know, we're doing millions of dollars a year from tennis. And what does that do? That keeps the rest of the rates for everything else at the club reasonable. Now, as we advance, the next iteration at Lake Isle will clearly be improvements in tennis, but will also be an indoor pool. That will generate revenue, which will also keep all of the rates for residents down low. That's the goal here, is to make sure that Lake Isle sustains itself and that we have a wonderful facility for our residents to enjoy 365 days of the year. The other thing is, the other important note here is that the project that we're talking about isn't just the tennis courts and pickleball courts. It's also, as I said a little earlier, the basketball courts, the playground, the parking lot, the little baseball field. We want to make sure that we keep open space there. We want to make sure that we don't affect a change on the wooded area that's in between the park and the houses that are on Brassy. So, you know, these are all important things that we want to take into consideration. And before this, you know, larger projects gets off the ground, we'll be meeting with the neighbors there and showing them what exactly we're doing here. But the key is that the tennis courts need to be fixed right away. The schools use the courts, people use the courts. We got to get on that right away. And fortunately, we can piggyback on a bid, so we don't have to take the time to go out to bid and use a company already approved by multiple counties and the state for use in this project. So what we're going to do, our next step in this whole process is to get the agreement with the engineer executed and signed up and get our check from Sport Time and get moving with the design and then get moving with the tennis and pickleball project. So I want to thank Luigi, of course, and the town board who spent a lot of time on this, but Luigi was the point person, did an excellent job together with Mr. Rada. So if there's nothing further, right, I guess we have a motion. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Joe, thank you. Thank you for your involvement also. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte? Aye. Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavito?
Aye.
Okay, next I have an introduction of a local law providing for the amendment of local law number 11, 1985, and local law number 1, 2018, of the Town of Eastchester, known as the Town of Eastchester, the Veterans Exemption Reduction of the maximum exemption within the Town of Eastchester, and to set a date for public hearing, which will be September 20th, I guess, the next meeting.
Correct. 8 o'clock, September 20th here.
And if I could just briefly, I know you touched on it, but so basically, back in 2018, we changed the 18 law was in reference to the Cold War veterans, and the 85 was just the original one. So what the state did a couple of months ago, they changed basically the numbers. Most of it stays the same, but so basically for the qualified veterans, the 15% stays the same, but what the state did and what our law is going to do is follow. They were previously, at the time before this law, capped at 54,000. Now the cap's going to go to 75,000 for all veterans. The next phase of it is the combat, the Cold War veterans. They get the additional 10%, but what the state, with the new law did was instead of being capped at, which is now 36,000, the cap's going to go to 50,000. And then, as was asked, the disabled, the third part of it, the disability, the veterans who are disabled, their number will still be 50%, but the cap's going to go from 180 to 250. So that's where the difference is. So those numbers, depending on what, the assessed value of the house is, they cap it at that number, or, but based on those different exemptions, they all apply to what we previously had. So that's the basic difference.
Okay, I'll move this. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, our resolution authorizing the settlement of a certiorari proceeding instituted by 127 Garth Road Tenants Corp., affecting the premises known as Section 49A, Block 2, Lot 2, 127 Garth Road. The assessment years on this property are 2017 through 2021, tax years 2018 through 2022, and the total town tax refund on this property is $12,447.75.
So moved.
Second. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye.
Okay, and last, I have a resolution authorizing the settlement of a certiorari proceeding instituted by 142 Garth Road, affecting the premises known as Section 49A, Block 1, Lot 1, 142 Garth Road, and the assessment years on this property are from 2016 through 2021, tax years 2017 through 2022, and the total town tax refund on this property is $62,594.48.
So moved.
Second. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye. Thank you. Next, we have the correspondence agenda. We have a memorandum from the controller for part-time seasonal employees. We just have the couple here. I'll move it. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum from the controller regarding designated depositories and authorized signatures, signatories, I should say, J.P. Morgan, New York Class, M&T, TD, and Signature Bank, and myself, the town controller, the junior accountant, are authorized, signatories on those accounts. So just need a motion for the approval of same. I'll make the motion, actually, and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye. Next, similarly, is a memo from the controller regarding the update in our investment policy, and the town maintains an investment policy, and the update on this is just to change the authorized banks that we just did, so we're going to just make those changes there. So I'll make the motion. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Colavita?
Aye. Lastly is a memorandum from the library director regarding permission to reject and rebid the water remediation project at the Eastchester Public Library. And just so you know, we talked about this the last couple of meetings, but we had a water issue, infiltration issue in the area where the elevator is. Like if you walk in from the lower level to the, I guess, the southwest corner of the building, that whole area got all, it's been deteriorating for a long time. So we finally decided we were going to go in and fix it all, together with other stuff that, needed attention there. So we went out to bid, and the bids are open on July 6th, and one bid was received from Suburban Contracting, but the Suburban Contracting did not possess the necessary insurance that was specified in the bid. So what we're seeking to do here is to reject the present bid that was made for failure to have sufficient insurance, and then authorize the rebidding of the water remediation project at the library as is contained in the, in the bid specs. So I'll make the motion, a two-part motion. First, authorizing the public library to reject the bid for the water remediation project at the library. And secondly, authorizing the library to go out to rebid for water remediation project at that location. Someone care to make a second?
Second.
Thank you. Please call roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. There is no miscellaneous business. That brings us to council member reports. Councilman Marcoccia.
Thank you, Supervisor. Just a couple things here. Just wanted to mention that school is back from summer break and open. Please drive carefully around school buses, and when you see flashing red lights on the bus, please stop. These are just kids, so they may not be paying attention the way they should be once they, getting on and getting off the buses. And also just in general, if they're out and about around the schools or walking in the streets, let's just be careful and mindful of them, particularly over the next, few weeks until they get acclimated, back to school in that routine. And then again, I just wanted to say that I think this Leawood Park renovation is going to be just amazing. Not just the tennis facility that's going to be there, tennis courts, and the pickleball courts, but just a renovated park in general. It's going to have a facelift, and it's going to be one of the nicer parks in the town. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Dooley.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a few things. The Eastchester Cup, the annual Eastchester Cup now, which is a scholarship golf outing between the Irish and the Italian, will be held on October 3rd of this year, which is a Monday. And if anyone's interested in sponsoring or playing golf, you can contact them by sending an email to eastchestercup@gmail.com. Also, want to thank the entire Lake Isle staff for a great summer. The golf, the pool, the tennis. It was just a great summer. Very successful up there this summer. And also the senior center kicked off up there. A lot of activities, and thanks to the staff and the volunteers there as well. And I'd also like to thank the recreation department for a very successful summer camp season. And they were also they also organized all the summer concerts up at Lake Isle and on Garth Road, and just did a great job. And the weather was spectacular this summer for those concerts. So just thanks to everybody there. And also, to echo what Mr. Marcoccia said, school's open, drive safely. Drive around today, it's hectic out there, so everybody be a little bit careful. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Councilwoman Nicholson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Eastchester Public Library, just some highlights. September is Library Card Sign-Up Month, and as noted with the water problem, the library elevator will be out of order for an undetermined period of time. There is still a upper entrance at Oak Ridge Place that can be utilized, and you can also enter through the library reading patio. If you need any assistance there, you can always call the library at 914-793-5055. The Eastchester Friends of Eastchester Public Library is still looking for volunteers. Again, you can call the library to sign up if you so please. And there tomorrow will be the Eastchester Public Library Mystery Club at 2:30 p.m. And Friday is a film series, Downtown Abbey, starting at 1:30 on Friday. A few community events that are being held at the library. There's a collection of pet goods, movers for mutts. They'll be collecting effective September 1st. There'll be a box there at the library at the entrance. Also, the Eastchester Rotary Interact Club will be holding a clothing drive for the Midnight Run New York City Homeless Men and Women. That will be on Saturday, September 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And last is the 5K registration will be held at the library on October 1st, so you can also go online and sign up. My apologies, I don't have that, but it's at the Eastchester 5K website, and again, you could call the library with any questions at 914-793-5055. That is all I have.
Councilwoman Marcotte.
Thank you, Supervisor. For the Recreation Department, just wanted everybody to know it's a very, very busy department, very active, and they are updating their website constantly. So if you're looking for information, they do urge you to check the website at eastchester.org, and literally every day they are adding items and programs to it. I think most recently they added the toddler, the Mommy and Me, and the Universal Mom program information, and as information becomes available about EIBL, Teen Scene, and of course the Columbus Day Carnival, and even upcoming events like the Eastchester 5K. They urge you to go to the website, and all the information will be there. And I just wanted to also mention that for the Historical Society, September 24th and September 25th, a big weekend for them. On the 24th, we will be honoring a very dear friend to the Historical Society, our town clerk, Linda Laird. She will be our honoree, and Mark Twain will be hosting and entertaining everybody that night, so we hope you can join us. And on Sunday, the 25th, the annual town yard sale is back. It will be at the library parking lot, and it will be from 10 to 4 p.m. Additionally, this year, we've added an appraiser from Clark Appraisal Services in Larchmont. Will be on hand from 10 to 3, and they will be doing verbal appraisals on any item that you want to bring, any antique or family heirloom item that you've had in your family. It is a suggested donation of $10. And again, it's verbal, and they won't be doing coins or foreign stamps. So we hope you can join us on those 2 weekends, and that one weekend rather. And that concludes my report, Supervisor.
Thank you. For my own report, I wanted to mention that we will be conducting our September 11th ceremony on Sunday morning. We're starting here at 8:30 on the outside of Town Hall here, as we have done since that day 22 years ago. It'll be a wonderful ceremony, and we have a lot of attendees coming, so it should be quite a moving day. Also, we are going to have lights outside representing the 2 twin towers, and they'll be installed once again, and we've upped the game a little bit to have some very significant lighting out there, and I urge everyone to pass by. We'll have it up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they'll be taken down on Monday. So I urge you to drop by. You'll definitely be seeing them from your home in town. So it's great to pass by and get a look at it. Also, I wanted to mention that Leawood Country Club is having its centennial charity golf event. And what they're doing is all the proceeds that they're generating from this event will be divided up amongst the County Diaper Bank, Play for Pink, Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon, but also Eastchester Parks Department and some of an Eastchester School District. So those proceeds will be going there as well. So I would urge everyone to, participate not only in the Italian-Irish golf match, but perhaps down at Leawood's Centennial charity event. Also, I wanted to mention that we once again have had Moody's Investors Services reaffirm our AAA credit rating, which is excellent. It's the highest rating that a municipal government can get. And they spotted our tight control of finances, particularly in this current economic environment that we're in. We're very proud of this designation as AAA. For example, we went out to bid, and BNY Mellon Capital Market won our bond with a net interest rate of 2.8%. Okay? There were others there that were up at 4 and 5%. We're at 2.875%, which is outstanding. In essence, what that means is that when we go out and borrow funds, we're paying very little interest, okay? And that lets us do more. It keeps taxes low. It's all good all the way around for multiple reasons. So we thank Moody's for recognizing our work with our bond rating and the like. And with that being said, I was going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the flooding around the town, but we are working with the villages of Bronxville and Tuckahoe for the Crawford area and independently for the Garth Road area. And we've had some meetings in the village of Bronxville with Mayor Marvin and with their engineer and with their village manager, together with our engineer and our planner. And we have a very ambitious plan we're putting together with regard to installation of a new storm line down Crawford, utilizing a park, 2 parks actually owned by Bronxville, as a large detention basin to drain out through the golf course. Also, the possibility of closing down that little small section of Archer so that we can have a contiguous, detention basin, and that should significantly improve the condition there. But, it doesn't happen quickly. It takes a lot of time, especially when you have multiple governmental entities involved, and now, of course, Iona University is involved. We had a meeting with them, we're working with their engineer, trying to come up with a plan that's, modest for them, but is effective nonetheless to deal with this flooding issue. So anyway, that's all going on, while everything else is happening here, but we're working on it. So please be advised that, something's going on. Okay, that concludes my report and brings us to the second opportunity to address the board. Yes, sir.
Hello again. I feel lonely. David Levy, 220 Hillside Place, Upper Tuckahoe. Listen, congratulations, Tony. I know it's because of your hard work that, again, we have a AAA bond rating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody in this room should thank you. All right, well, I don't know where to start. All right, listen, flooding, I see places that didn't flood when I was a little kid are flooding now. And I'm 63. And I've come to realize that most of the reason is nobody continues the maintenance on these drain pipes. Some places, these drain pipes are more than 120 years old, 150 years old. They were 3-foot, 4-foot circular pipes. They're probably all stuffed and clogged. We need to find somebody to get in there and clean them. I mean, I know on Hillside Place, the drain behind the post office is full of crap. Somebody's got to pop that lid and shovel it, clean it out. Down on the corner of Crest and Hillside, when they paved the street, they dumped all sorts of blacktop into the drain. And I've said this for years. I've been asking, nobody comes and cleans it. Well, if somebody were to clean these drains as they fill and rebuild them as they collapse, maybe the water would leave a little quicker.
Well, it's a tough thing. There are always going to be drains that are full of stuff.
Right.
But we do have the sewer rotter truck that goes out and does that. It vacs and it also goes through the lines. But there's thousands of catch basins.
Right, well, that's what...
But if we know about them that are stuffed up, then we'll get on it. Like particularly around Lake Isle, where, we have water bodies, and the rivers, stuff goes in there. So we try to be diligent about that. But, if you want to give me a call or Rocco a call, say, listen, by the way, here, and here, it's full of beer bottles and soda bottles and leaves or whatever else. You also have raccoons, you have all kinds of stuff living down there, so there's always clogs.
The one on Crest and Hillside, I started telling Bonhag about it. So we've had 3, we're on our 3rd supervisor, and nobody's come and popped the lid from the drain, got in there with a shovel or a bucket, and pulled it out. I remember when Sonny was running the town yard, we had a little truck that had a clamshell. It would drop in, pull the stuff out. The raccoons, they're good enough. You shove them in a little further, they clean the drains. They're bushy. All right, so how about getting sports time to put the tennis court back behind the school? They took that out when they did the last addition to stage the building of the school, and nobody ever put it back. They used to practice hockey on that court. They used to use it for the tennis class and the tennis team.
Camp.
Right? So why can't we just see about maybe getting somebody to put it back? And the courts at Leawood, are they going to put clay back?
No, there's this tech surface they put down now that's like...
Remember, anything that's man-made and new is poisonous for you anyway. All right, so... Yeah, we'll get to that one last. All right, yeah, I read on the TV screen or on the, whatever, when I popped in Eastchester, came up online, and you made mention of the non-vaping or the vaping law you just got passed. Well, as of September 1st, our governing body in Albany came out with a new great law. You have to be 21 and show ID to get whipped cream, because the kids are hitting the nitrous in the whipped cream. I don't want to point fingers, but I'm sure almost everybody in this room at one time was getting a little vape from the whipped cream, was getting a little sniffing the fat magic markers. I really can't see where this becomes such a big thing. It's innocent little play stuff for a kid. With all the fentanyl, all the Oxycontin, all the heroin, all the drugs that are going on the street in this state, they're worrying about whipped cream. God forbid I run to the store because my wife made a cake and I got to get whipped cream and I don't take my wallet and I don't have my license with me. I can't buy a can of whipped cream.
You gotta buy Cool Whip.
Well, yes, but that's not the point. When I go into the supermarket, I don't look 17, but I have to show the girl behind the register photo ID to buy beer and now whipped cream. And if the person behind, I can't say girl anymore, if the E, them, and it behind the register is under 21, they have to call a manager to come and ring up my beer or my whipped cream. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Let's do something about the illegal guns, the illegal fentanyl, the illegal Oxycontins, the dope in the street. We're giving out needles to these people who want to shoot dope. How about you put a little tattoo on them and you give them the Noxicon to wake them back up twice? If they go back and get high and overdose a third time, it's their problem. How many times are we going to save people from themselves? I don't know if too many people agree with me, but it's getting a little ridiculous. Those of us that are law-abiding citizens need a little bit of, somebody taking care of us. Which brings me to my next point. They're putting cameras all up and down 22 Mill Road, cameras and plate readers. They told the merchants that these were to keep an eye on their stores, in case their stores got broken into. But all you have to do is look at these cameras and these plate readers. They're not pointing at any store. They're not pointing at any sidewalk. They're just pointing up and down a roadway. The biggest problem, so they're going to get the people who pay for their insurance, pay for their cars, pay for their licenses, who might do a little infraction by accident or be a little late paying a parking ticket because they're a little slow with cash. They're going to come after us. But the kids with no helmets, the kids with no license plates, the people with no insurance on their car, with phony plates on their car, they don't get bothered because, well, you ask, they say, because the DAs won't do anything. But they come after those of us that have worked for all our lives or are still working and have a little money because they know they can squeeze us for a couple more dollars.
Just let me just
No, let me
correct
finish.
you.
This is my chance to address the board.
Go ahead.
I think it's a little ridiculous that they're going after us and they're spending our money to have policemen posing as electricians to put these cameras up that are only going to affect the people who pay taxes, get licenses, and buy insurance. Because the people that don't really care. You throw them in jail overnight, they're out the next day, and they're driving another car illegally. They keep making laws to go against the people that pay the bills. Do you really think that the gangbangers in the city or the gangbangers in the city go, oh, listen, guys, we're going to go shoot that gang up the block up, but make sure you don't have hollow points, make sure you don't have more than 7 rounds in your gun, and God forbid you take a pre-ban, a post-ban 30-round clip in your gun, that's against the law. We can't do that. We have to be responsible gang members. None of these laws affect the people that the laws were supposed to affect. They only affect those of us who pay our taxes, get our insurance, and get our licenses. It's ridiculous. She lost this worse than Cuomo governor we have, lost her Supreme Court case against handguns. So what does she do? She goes and she makes every part of New York a gun-free zone. Well, are you that stupid? We're not the only ones that know it's a gun-free zone. These low-life people who are scared of everything for their life and go shoot people up, the one thing every mass shooting has in common is it all happens in a gun-free zone, because they know nobody's going to be shooting back at them, okay? That's why when I went to Eastchester High School, and I don't want to name names, they're probably all dead anyway, but there were 4 or 5 teachers that had 1911, 45 caliber Army-issued guns in their desk drawers. We knew they had them, and we knew not to mess around in those classes. And if that went on today, they wouldn't have these mass shootings in the schools. You wouldn't have these mass shootings in movie theaters or in places that were gun-free zones. I like the fact that I live here in New York and I don't have to carry a gun, all right? I also like the fact in Kentucky, I can carry a gun wherever I want. It's not a bad place, but when some people ask me, why do you carry a gun wherever you go? I said, because I can. After 38 years in New York where I couldn't even possess one, here I can. You know, it's the Second Amendment, to protect yourself against a totalitarianistic government. That's all. Let me see, there was one more. Oh, yeah, this is one for last. We need to do something in this town to get more of the people involved. I know you guys like to get out of here early right away because there's nobody here anymore to speak. But they got to get more community people involved with the community. Are these people that lazy or that soft that they don't care to come and get involved with their own government, their own school board? Somebody needs to pressure the school board to go back to Monday nights like it was forever until Siebert took over and didn't want myself, McCutcheon, and Moses to go to both meetings in the night, so they moved their meeting to Tuesday night. So you couldn't go to a school board meeting on Monday and a town board meeting on Tuesday. That's it. I'll listen to what you have to say, Tony.
Yeah, just very briefly on your last point, just, people aren't here because there's not a problem. Things are going pretty well, and they're confident in our government, but we have tons of people involved with government every day that are volunteering on all the boards. All the boards are, we're reconstituting the Recreation Advisory Board. There's always people coming in and doing stuff. So they may not be here, and certainly when someone has a problem, they come here. But, right now, we're going okay. But on the other thing, with the LPRs, the license plate readers, those are, first of all, they're all over the place. All the cities and towns are putting them in. And you made an interesting comment. You said you're a law-abiding citizen. So if you're a law-abiding citizen, you got nothing to worry about. But these are designed not for, setting up a camera on a storefront. That's not the purpose. The purpose of this is vehicular traffic monitoring. And also, these can also be calibrated. That, you can set them up so that alerts go off on more serious things. A guy that has a stolen car out of his home somewhere, that's going to come up. Someone that is, has a suspended license, probably not going to be flagged. But, this is for serious stuff. We have an Amber Alert, child is taken. These type of things are what that LPR is for, and all this information goes up to the county, okay? It's not even something that we're storing. It's just basically all centralized to the county. So if, for example, there's a crime committed, yeah, you can see the vehicle. You may be able to see who's driving the vehicle. Possibly not, but it's just a law enforcement tool. And, people were commenting, making a joke, oh, it's 1984 Big Brother, that type of thing. But it's not really. We've had an LPR in Chester Heights, 10 years we have one in there. And we have one other on Mill and White Plains Road and one over by Lake Isle. There's only 3 of them. So as far as I know, there's only maybe one other one going in. But they're only going on the roads where we're having thousands of cars a day. It's not going to go on the back roads and stuff. But it's all something that is a police enforcement tool. And also, it can be, like I said, calibrated. Maybe that's not the right word. But you can tell it what offenses you want to have trigger an alert to PD. Okay? So it's not necessarily, some minor foolish thing, V&T thing. It's if your car is stolen, it's been used in a crime, there's, a kidnap, whatever the case might be, that type of thing.
Now, first, I know that, as I said when I came up to the board, up to the table the first time, second time just the board, thank you for keeping us at a AAA rating. Yes, I understand things are working very well here. but still participation from the town and people coming, whether for other reasons, just to complain, or as somebody once told me, to see themselves on TV. You need to participate. You need to be involved for no other reason than it's your constitutional right. Okay, now back to these cameras and these plate readers. Yes, I'm a very honest person. I'm a little loud because I was an iron worker. I'm a little deaf, but it's a violation of my Fourth and Sixth Amendment rights. I have a right to privacy, and I have a right to be left alone. There is nothing in the Constitution that gives the police department, the county police department, or any other police department the right to monitor that I'm walking down the street or I'm driving down the street just because they're looking for somebody else. And yes, it's like 1984. They're here watching everything everybody does. And like when they were asking the guy, Mukakis, how he knew, was he monitoring the people that took the covert test, and they were monitoring, was he monitoring them to see if they stayed at home? And he said, no, according to the Patriot Act, we're not allowed to do that. And Senator Rand Paul, or one of the other senators asked him, said, well, then how do you know if these people are complying with the rules and regulations? And he looked at me and said, we buy the information from Google. And I said, you what? Yes, when they join Google, they sign away their rights. Google has the right to follow them everywhere they go and download and sell that information to whoever they want. In this case, it was the federal government, the DHS, okay? We have a right under the Fourth and Sixth Amendment not to be followed. It has nothing to do with whether I'm doing something criminal or not criminal. If my wife wanted to follow me, she'd have to buy a satellite and I'd have to pay for it with the Amazon account. Okay, we have a right to be left alone and not to be followed. And sometimes innocent people get dragged in and beat up and smacked around for various reasons. And I don't mean physically, I mean legally and emotionally, okay? And I've had something in this courtroom right here where the assistant town attorney told the judge, we have to find Mr. Levy guilty. He's a bully. I looked at him. I said, Fred, what is this? You know me. He goes, yes, you're not a bully. I know that. I said, well, then how can this man say that? Well, he really can't. He was told to be quiet and sit down, all right, because he came unprepared to the trial. But that wasn't my fault. But what I'm saying is these cameras and these plate readers are a direct violation of the Fourth and Sixth Amendment. And nobody takes that into consideration in these blue states. Okay? We come up with great laws that protect in the world because you have to show ID to get whipped cream. Let's do something to protect these kids. Let's go back. When I was a kid, they didn't call it stop and frisk. They called it you opened your mouth and you were in the wrong place. They slammed you against the car. They patted you down. And they found something illegal. They arrested you. If not, they might smack you around and send you home. When you got home, your father said, what happened to you? No, the cops beat me up. And you got another beating. Because the cops beat you up, you got a beating. Well, this is what's happened. Some school districts are going back to corporal punishment, paddling at the kids in elementary school. Not severe beatings, but just enough to make the kids think for a minute. What's happened, you know, we're close to the same age, Tony, and what's happened, there's too much I don't know how to say the word. There's too much permission given to these kids not to behave. My boy was the biggest wise ass I've ever seen in my house, but everybody on the street told me what good manners he had. And that's what's important, is how you treat other people in public.
What was the old Irish expression? Street angel, house devil. Right?
Oh.
The old Irish expression. Thank
All
you,
right.
Dave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Bye now.
You too.
All right, we adjourned? All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you.